Welcome to Real Estate Exposed, helping people in San Diego buy, sell, and refinance their biggest investment, delivering you timely truths, exposing important issues, and helping you get into the right home. Here are your hosts, real estate expert Daniel Beer, top-ranked professional by sales volume at one of San Diego's largest brokerages, and his mortgage partner, Todd Pianin, with over $2 billion in funded loans.
Back with another episode here of Real Estate Exposed. It's awesome being with you on this Sunday morning. I'm Daniel Beer with the Daniel Beer Group and Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank. What's happening, Todd?
How are you? Glad you're back, Dan. Sorry you were sick last week, and my stepmom listens to the show every week, and she's like, we had to replay. I heard that episode before. I'm like, yeah, Dan was sick, and so we couldn't do it. So she was like, she goes, I still enjoyed the show though because you had Josh Altman on last week. So.
Well, we're happy to be here. Again, our co-host Todd Pianin and his partner Taisha Lindsay, Home Street Bank, they do an awesome job. And a lot is happening in the mortgage markets. Fannie Mae actually has come out with some codes that are going to affect the way that you do business when you're buying and when you're selling. And the appraisal process, how that's all affected. We're going to jump into that. We're going to talk about staging. We continue getting a lot of questions about staging. Why do people do it? Why did I interview 3 agents, but only 1 recommended it, 2 didn't? 2 just said, hey, do whatever. Well, that has a lot to do with the quality of the agent you have in front of you, their experience, and don't doubt staging. I'm telling you right now, and we'll jump into it more, there is nothing you can do to your property that will enhance the value at a greater rate of return than staging your home professionally for sale. And the last great development opportunity, Todd, you see this? The last great development opportunity in Southern California, that's what they're calling it, just closed escrow. It's here in San Diego County, and it's going to be a big boom for what hopefully is a big revitalization project that's been talked about for years and finally going to kick off.
Nice.
Some of you also have questions about discount agents and discount brokerages and why a franchise versus, one of these people that'll come in and, sell your home on a handshake. We're going to talk about the pitfalls, the pros, the cons to using one type of agent versus another. And Todd, I'm going to kick off the show here by just declaring that your man, Trump, scares the living daylights out of me. And I am now officially on
the Hillary train?
I may officially make my first Democratic vote since, in 16 years.
Wow. What about Bernie? What if it's Bernie?
My first Democratic vote in 16 years. Well, maybe. I don't know about that one.
You don't know about that one?
I don't know about that one.
Go to Bernie's tax calculator and then tell me if you're going to vote for Bernie.
I'm not sure on that one.
Yeah.
But having the conversation, assuming it's Hillary and assuming it's Trump.
So why are you?
It literally may be my first one in 16 years, and it's frightening, this guy.
So why is Trump the candidate versus Trump the president scare the heck out of you, Dan? I mean, because the media has painted depending upon which media outlet you talk to, even conservative outlets.
Doesn't matter which one.
It doesn't matter which one. I mean, but he is Trump the candidate right now, not Trump the president. I want to take you back 8 years. Obama the candidate versus Obama the president. Okay. What did Obama accomplish everything he said he was going to do?
No, just like every other president hasn't either. But here's the point, and this is why I would vote for Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
Words I never thought in my life I would ever utter. I would never go there.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I may do it is because, sure, we might have 4 years of... Look, the country will still exist.
She believes, Dan. She believes that it's harder for a Hispanic gentleman to get a loan than it is for a white person to get a loan.
Okay, and she's not the first person to believe that, and she's wrong on that. I could tell you she's completely wrong on that. She's wrong on that. And if you're bringing up any kind of affirmative action issues, I am completely and vehemently against them. Completely. And by the way, only because it completely degrades that minority. It is the most degrading piece of legislation that I can think of.
Right.
Maybe going back to really crazy stuff that happened back, Civil War days. But I'm telling you that at least our country would still somewhat look like our country 4 years later. Probably not much would get done. Probably you'd have 4 years of just absolute gridlock where nothing happens, and that is better than the Trump alternative.
Then nothing happens. So what? So conservative people, a lot of ultra conservative people are paid by, business groups, the NRA, big banks, Wall Street. I mean, if you look at Hillary's record, I mean, she's completely funded by the big banks and gotten paid to speak. Mm-hmm. So now the presidency has been, and I mean this the best way possible. The presidency has been a puppet of big business and of lobbying groups. And what scares everybody right now is that Trump is financing his own campaign. He's financing it with other people's people who donate to his campaign, but he's not taking any lobbyist money. He hasn't taken any special interest money. And so what scares everybody is that they're not going to have control over the presidency. So if I were to so you're buying into the mainstream media, who is scared because we won't have a puppet as a president. We'll actually have a thinker like a George Washington or an Abraham Lincoln, or somebody who's actually going to, in my opinion, who's going to actually support who's going to make our defense strong. We're not going to end up with this multitude layers of bureaucracy.
Todd,
we're not going to.
It's been reported the guy sleeps with speeches from Hitler next to his nightstand.
That's been reported, Dan, and his daughter is. Yeah, his daughter.
Was that reported about anybody else? No,
but that's a slur campaign, Dan. His daughter converted to Judaism.
The guy has declared he's just he is the last thing I'm shocked actually that anybody would still consider him with the way he carries himself, with the way he stands on a stage and declares that his anatomy beats everybody else's anatomy. Do you realize this is the president of the United States, and he would literally stand on a stage and even bring it up, let alone talk about it. You're talking about a guy that can't, for a shred of a moment, his self-esteem is so small that he disguises it as being so big and cannot handle anyone making any kind of comment without him having a negative reaction back as if he's some kind of 4-year-old child.
Right.
And I can't wait until, Putin or somebody else anywhere across the country, or excuse me, across the world, makes any kind of remark that he isn't completely in love with, and let's see how he retaliates back. This guy is a complete nightmare. I didn't think so at first. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I thought, you know what, it'd be fun. Let's have something different. Right. Let's experience, life outside, a non-Washington Washington.
Right.
And I'm telling you, I'm still all for that, but not with this guy.
Well, I mean, Cruz may get the nomination, or Cruz may become his vice president. You don't know what's going to happen. I mean, there's a lot of time now between here and the Republican convention.
Half of this guy's rhetoric is just about how great he is. It's just about his anatomy being large, or what the size of his hands are, or how everybody loves him, or he's actually even declared, my very favorite, is when he declared that he has the best words. He literally said that. I have the best words.
I just think that you've got a lot of Democrats that have rolled over to become Republicans because of him. I think that he's brought up things into our speak that has not been brought up before, immigration issues, tax issues, reappropriation of capital that's not in the U.S. to bring jobs back. I mean, there's a lot of conversations that he's brought up and has brought into the forefront. He's scared the heck out of the lobby groups. He's scared the heck out of special interest groups. I mean, I think that's important.
Yeah, and he's also
scaring the heck out of you, but I get
that. He's also declared that we should go and murder the families of every terrorist around the world, which is against every international law, against the Geneva Convention, and we're called out on that. This amazing video where the moderator says to him, but that's illegal, and he says Trump doesn't even hear him, just continues going with it,
his rant,
and then degrades. If you're in the military listening to us right now, degrading you directly. He said, when the moderator said, but what would you, how would you react if your military doesn't want to, blatantly break the law by following your command? What's Trump's answer? Oh, they'll do what I say. Trust me. When I say something, they'll just do it. Trump directly has degraded your integrity as a member of our military believing that you will just do whatever he wishes, regardless of how illegal it may be. This is a frightening guy. That right now, that's the size of his, that's the size of his stuff right now.
Ego.
When he doesn't even yet have power.
Right.
What will it look like when he does?
Listen, I'm voting Republican. I'm a Republican. I think that Trump, the candidate, could be different than Trump, the president. If Trump wins, I would say that the president does not have all the power that we base these things on, and I think that the U.S. right now is not being viewed in the international world as a powerhouse. I'm not sure that they'd be viewed as an international powerhouse as Trump, the president, but I don't really think that it has lots to do with Trump, the candidate, right now. So, I mean, there's a lot of time. I understand. But I think there's a lot more, I think that we'll see. Future we'll see.
I am begging you to go out and vote with your eyes open and with your brain. You cannot just be Republican and vote Republican. You can't just be Democrat and vote Democrat. I will be making my first Democratic vote since the year 2000.
If Trump wins the nomination.
If Trump wins the nomination. And we're going to head to break here. We have a lot of real estate coming. This is Real Estate Exposed, but by God, this is going to affect our lives here locally in San Diego. I'm Daniel Beer, the Daniel Beer Group, with Todd Pianin of Home Street Bank. The phone number, if you want to reach us for anything at all, is 800-676-2420. We will answer your questions. The number's 800-676-2420. Coming up, we're going to get back to real estate. Lots to talk about. Discount brokerages and agents running rampant, offering little to zero value. We're going to be talking staging. Why do it? Why not? What does it do? And we're going to be talking about Fannie Mae and code changes that are going to affect the way you buy and sell. We're coming back next on Real Estate Exposed. All right.
I love the music that Mike picks sometimes.
I love it. You're here with on Real Estate Exposed, Daniel Beer, the Daniel Beer Group, and Todd Pianin, Home Street Bank. We're going to give the mic here to Todd because there are some major changes Fannie Mae has put in place that affect the way appraisals get done, the way you're going to do your loan. I want to understand more of it personally, so I'm going to learn here right along with you. Todd, what has changed here in the landscape as far as what Fannie Mae has done with their code recently?
So recently what's occurred in the appraisal code is that we used to be able to use what we would call market adjustments, right? So like when...
Explain that.
So remember when we started having all the short sales and foreclosures and all that kind of stuff, we could do it, market changed, right? So you had a downward moving market, right? So you could, so the appraisers could actually do an adjustment, even though the data supported a higher sales price, because let's say you sold a house 30 days ago for $600,000, but now you're doing a short sale 30 days later. This is back in the old days.
Right.
They would do a market adjustment saying that the market's declining down. Well, today, what's happening is the market, we have lack of inventory on the market. So, I know for a fact you had one listing this last weekend, Dan, that you had like 15 or 20 offers on because I got like 15 or 20 calls and cross calls and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yep.
So the market's driving the prices up. The problem is that the appraisers actually have to use closed data to be able to bring in a value on the appraisal. So if somebody overpays dramatically, I don't mean by overpays, but actually the market brings the number to a higher number, and there's no data to support that closed sale. Until that sale is closed, we can't use that sale. So the problem we're running into a lot lately, and a lot of people are running into, is that when properties are going for much higher than the data has been proven, then, for example, I'll give you an example. We did a deal that in a condo complex. Nothing in that condo complex had sold over $285,000 for the model match floor plan.
In what kind of period of time?
In the last 12 months. Okay. Nothing had sold over $285,000. The property sold for $325,000.
What was it about that unit? Why did it sell for so much more than the comps? Or than the past sales? Because
there was 10 or 15 offers on the property, and so it just created this feeding frenzy.
So that's the true market value then. The market showed up, it sounds like, and pushed it up to...
But Fannie Mae doesn't agree.
So Fannie Mae disagrees with all the buyers on the ground with their agents looking at home, or in this case, condo after condo after condo, and educating themselves on So Fannie Mae disagrees with all of them.
Because what they're saying is because of Dodd-Frank, because of how everything ran up so quickly, and everything got, prices got elevated at a much higher rate, that now they want to use real data to support the comps. And if we don't have real data, then we can't support it. So it's like, what they're trying to do is, in a sense, they're hand tying us, right? Because we have low inventory on the market. You can't have a market appreciate at a reasonable level. But what they're also doing is they don't want to have the disasters that we've had in the past, where a market ran away from itself and you saw 20, 30, 40, 50% appreciation.
But if you can only close based on what has closed,
they'll use some adjustments, some timing adjustments. So, like, for example, we had a deal that the property was listed for, I want to say, somewhere in the mid fives, and we came like 525, and the appraisal came in, I think, at like 555. Right.
Okay.
So because the data that was out there actually supported, that's what it, you know what I mean? It went above asking price. But when you get these huge, dramatic, like 10 to 15 or 20% swings on one property, that's when you run into problems.
Got it. So interesting. I mean, it's interesting though, because again, the appraiser just has more power than I'm comfortable with. The appraiser, I can't stress enough, the appraiser is just a person. The appraiser has a fancy title. It's appraiser.
Right.
Okay?
But he or she is using the data that's out there. It's actual closed sales.
Yeah, but Todd, these guys also sometimes don't know what they're looking at. They show up to they show up to some, if you might have a home in La Mesa and your appraiser lives in Oceanside. They've never been to La Mesa.
Correct.
They've literally never been there. They show up, they GPS it, get there.
Certain lenders, I would say yes, do that. I would say that, like for us at Home Street Bank, we use local appraisers who know the marketplace.
You guys do, and that's why we're so comfortable with you guys, but in general, the appraiser is somebody that shows up on their GPS and then tells everybody else exactly what the property's worth to the penny. That doesn't make so much sense to me. Why are they that much more right than every buyer that's just made an offer on it, than their agents? So
if I was a listing,
I don't get it.
So we want to expose something. If I'm a listing agent,
sure.
If I'm a listing agent, when the appraiser shows up to my listing to appraise the property on a purchase, I have a list of all the comps there. Hand the appraiser the comps, or ask the appraiser, say to the appraiser, hey, what comps are you going to use for this sale? Because it's super important to me to know what comps. If you don't have those comps, here are my comps. And so what you're doing is as a listing agent, you're taking more control over the situation. And I think a lot of listing agents, not you, Dan, because I know your people always show up with comps. You show up with comps, your listing specialists show up with comps. That always happens. But I'm saying in certain situations, that's what needs to happen, is that you need to make sure you're aware of the comps.
The appraiser, folks, you had your home refinanced a year ago or 6 months ago or whatever it might be. You had an appraisal at some point. I can't tell you how many homes I walk into where the seller says, well, I have an appraisal at X, so that must be exactly what it's worth. Let me tell you, your appraiser is just a person. Just a person who got paid about $300 or $400, maybe $200, to give you this, word of God on exactly what your home is worth. Your home, if you really, I've sat in people's living rooms where the data says that the home, let's just say, is worth $500. They know it's worth roughly $500. They know their neighbors have sold for $500, $510, $490, $480, $520. Their appraiser told them it was $570. They become completely obsessed with the number, and it paralyzes their ability to make intelligent decisions moving forward. Your appraiser is just a person. They're not always right, just like an agent's not always right, just like nobody ever is. Please take that to heart. If you have more questions around this topic or any other, you could give us a call here at 800-676-2420. This is Real Estate Exposed, and we're exposing the truth on appraisals and the process. 800-676-2420. Coming up next, we're going to be talking about that beautiful discount agent down the street from you offering you a listing for what? Crackers and peanuts? You might want to find out why. You can't miss it. Welcome back. We are in our third segment of this beautiful Sunday morning. Real Estate Exposed right here on News Radio 600 KOGO. I'm Daniel Beer, the Daniel Beer Group at Windermere Real Estate. And
I'm Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank.
yes, you are, Todd. You are Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank.
So
These guys get all the they get a lot of the Daniel Beer Group business. They are one of our enjoyed lenders, one of our trusted. Preferred's a naughty word, Todd.
Oh, sorry.
They're a trusted lender.
Thank you.
They are a very trusted lender, and
I mean, you guys are keeping us busy. I mean, wow. This month we've got 18 closes.
But it's for a reason, and you should give Todd and his team a call, 800-676-2420, if you want to find out why, 800-676-2420. And I want to give a very special thank you to you, the listener. Here's what we just found out. Now, I will say with a caveat that we have to verify this here through iHeartMedia, but we have been told by a radio industry insider who looked up the weekend ratings for this beautiful station here.
Yep.
And before we actually find out exactly what the official numbers are, I'm just going to say this. We have found out that we are one of the most listened to shows on this 9 to 10 hour, one of the most listened to hours of the entire weekend here on KOGO. And we're just so thrilled to be growing the show with you. Thanks for your support. But now we're going to give you support back by tearing apart.
I want to talk about that. I want to get back to the original. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. It's you have the mic, Todd. I was just going to be in the background there.
I want to go back to us tearing apart. I want to pull back the curtain. I want to pull back the curtain on Real Estate Exposed. And one of the things I want to pull back the curtain on is how important is it, Dan, to be with a big brokerage? Whether it's
almost as important as not voting for Trump.
Seriously. How important is it? Like, if I'm going to sell my house, why do I pick a company that maybe, have a big brokerage, a Keller Williams, a Windermere Homes and Estates, Berkshire Hathaway? Why is that important? What versus, let's just call it the Daniel Beer team, period.
Well, first off, I don't think it is very important.
Okay.
I don't think that I think that a lot of the times the public, it's interesting. Okay, so I've talked with a lot of you, and you say, well, we just had somebody from this company. But you won't even say somebody. You won't even say who it is. You sometimes don't even remember the person's name.
Right.
You'll say, well, we just had Keller Williams out. We just had Windermere out. We just had Berkshire Hathaway out. Whoever it may be. Folks, the way these brokerages are structured, okay, and there are there's various parts of this.
Let's talk about the brokerage piece. I'll talk about the discount piece in a second.
Yeah. It's just important to understand that these brokerages are structured as basically umbrella companies, but that have multiple little businesses inside of them. In the case of Windermere, for example, 400 or so agents. That's the brokerage that I've happened to put my business at.
Right.
Now, my business, having me out to your home, has little or zero, literally 0, 0, 0, 0 to do with if you had Agent X or Agent Y or Agent Z from Windermere to your home. Every one of them with a different process. Hopefully they have a process, but every one of them with a different outlook, a different, approach, a different mindset, a different level of experience, a different level of funds to be able to actually invest into your home sale, a different structure to actually be able to service you properly. Literally a just completely different experience with each. You might have one of them that is phenomenal, one of them that is not so much. I used Windermere as an example. That's going to be the case for everybody, for Keller, for Willis Allen. It doesn't matter what company. Okay. Now, Todd, to answer your question, Todd, I think part of your question is why, even having said what I just said, is a brokerage, having a full service brokerage, a traditional brokerage like the one that what I just mentioned, why might that be different than one of these discount shops that are popping up, in different corners of town? Well, is that where you're going?
Well, it's the next question is, there's all these places out there that will say they'll do 1%. They'll the discount brokerages, right? They're popping up all over the place. There was even talk of like Google coming out with something, Zillow coming out with something that's going to be basically just a discount brokerage shop. And let's talk about that. Is that a good thing for the industry, a bad thing for the industry? Should I list my house with somebody who's going to just charge me 1%?
Well, and I'd love to look at it in terms of, is it a good thing or a bad thing for our clients, for the consumer, for the would-be buyer and seller? Just like anywhere else in your life, okay? You know, going to see the psychic that's sitting on the side of the street as you're walking down Fifth Avenue, and who wants to charge you $20 or maybe even $5 to tell you exactly what you need to do to fix your life and to tell you your future and fortune and give you all the advice you could ever want. Just like that might be a bit of a lesser value, lesser experience, not quite as much substance than maybe seeing a very well professionally trained, critically acclaimed psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist who's studied with the best, who is a professional, who is going to really go deep with you. You know, which one you think is going to actually give you better guidance? And is the difference in the money going to be enough to take only the advice of the street peddling, psychic versus a world-renowned therapist, psychologist, or psychologist?
Right.
No.
Well, I mean, I look at this is what I say to people, Dan, all the time.
It's crazy.
I say, would you go to if you were diagnosed with cancer, would you want to go to the top leading cancer specialist in the country, or would you go to the discount cancer guy?
You're making a multi-$100,000 transaction when you're selling a home in San Diego County.
Right.
You're making a $100,000 to possibly $1 million, that may be a multi-million-dollar transaction, depending on your part of town, when you're going to be selling a home in San Diego County. And let's get something straight. If somebody had so little value to offer you, could not drive the price, could not entice buyers, could not have a way to actually go out, find the market for your home, if somebody doesn't know how to systematically create a process for you that can create a negotiating advantage so that you could use the buyer's psychology in your favor, if somebody doesn't know how to create a strategic process so that you could truly get the most the market will bear, and then some, by allowing the human element of wanting to win and competitive nature of people to play into the process to drive your price and terms to the best they can be, then they must offer you value by discounting. And when somebody offers you value by discounting, you have to be very careful and think to yourself that if they are willing to completely devalue themselves, if they see themselves as somebody who cannot offer value on any level but to discount themselves, then how fast will they discount you?
I mean, can we talk about something? I mean, how
that negotiation will be ugly.
I have one. I mean, you talked to me briefly during the break about something that you went on a listing presentation, and one of these discount brokerages came out with a number that was, in your opinion, knowing the market, was so far out of whack of what the property was worth in the marketplace. I mean, is it a scam, Dan? Are they saying I'm going to list your house for a high number, and I'm also going to discount my commission?
Well, what they're doing is they're going to take the listing no matter what. They're going to list the property at this crazy number. They're in a neighborhood that they have no business, haven't at least ever had business in, at a price point that they're not used to dealing in. In this case, it was $1 million.
So we don't talk specifics.
Well, so that our seller doesn't know.
Right, exactly.
No, I'll tell him we spoke about it, but so that his neighbors don't tie it back to him. This broker's in a price point that he's not used to working. Okay, north of $1 million. He wants the listing, literally blatantly lies, by the way, and tells the seller that they are the top producing agent in that area. Literally said that. So what I did was I just simply pulled up the MLS.
Right, which you do all the time.
Said, okay, let's find out how much he sold. We could pull up the MLS, type in the person's name, and there had literally been one sale in 12 months.
Right, the top producing agent.
One sale in 12 months at a lower price point home than this person's. This person claimed they were the top producing agent.
Right.
So you want to ask for proof, okay? When someone makes a comment like, hey, I'm the top for this or the top that or the number one, this one or that one, ask for proof and demand to see it. And look at it with them so they're not manipulating any of it. But anyway, why does this person want to do it? Well, first off, because there's going to be no investment into it. You're going to get some, they're going to break out their cell phone, take some pictures, then they're going to throw them online. But the beauty of it for this agent that is going to take this listing is that they're now going to be generating leads online
buyers
from websites like Realtor.com, websites like Zillow, websites like Trulia. Well, when you, the buyer, are out there looking for property on any of these websites, and you put in an inquiry, hey, I'm interested in this home, can I, or can you send me more data, more info, etc. What you've done is fallen into a little mousetrap where your information now ends up with that agent. So what's happened here is that your home, when you trust your home to one of these discount brokers who have literally very little experience of any kind selling and representing home sellers, what you've essentially done is created a lead generation funnel for them to be able to create buyers at your price point. So what will happen is that now this agent is going to receive offers. Now this agent is going to receive contacts, new leads, buyers to work with. Those buyers will quickly find out that home is not worth the price that's being asked. The seller, meanwhile, will remain completely, dissatisfied, and unfortunately, their home will sit on the market. They won't be sure why. And meanwhile, that buyer will be out or looking at other properties with this agent who's now got $1 million buyer in the car.
So that's
the beauty of it.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. Listen, you cannot believe that somebody that discounts themselves, who devalues their self-worth, who thinks their work is so meaningless that they're willing to completely go to, 99-cent store type pricing. Well, it's because when you buy at the 99-cent store,
you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. The moment you buy a fork there, what happens when you press down on your fork on a piece of meat? Boom, it snaps.
So one of the things I also want to add before we go to break is that, one of the things you talk about the home seller seminars all the time is that you value your services, you value what what you do for your clients, but you also offer something that's unique across the board. Is that if they want to fire you tomorrow, they can fire you.
You should never sign an agreement with anybody that doesn't give you a blanket cancellation clause. And if you ever were to hire the Daniel Beer Group, you're either going to be completely happy the whole way through, and we know you will be, so that's why we offer this, or you simply can cancel the agreement at any time for any reason and without penalty. You have to be in control, and you cannot be stuck being some agent's hostage.
These 1% brokers, do they offer that same type of deal?
Absolutely not. They have to generate all their $1 million buyer leads.
So they make them sign a 3 or 6 month listing contract?
They have to. They have to be able to use you long enough to self-serve, right?
Wow.
We're going to go to break. This is Real Estate Exposed. You're listening here on News Radio 600 KOGO. And we're going to jump into staging coming up next. How can you make more money by not being penny wise and pound foolish? Stage your home. We're going to share it all. All right, we're back with you here for just a couple of last minutes this Sunday morning. We hope you have a great one, and this is Real Estate Exposed, the Daniel Beer Group, Windermere Real Estate. I'm Dan Beer, one of,
a monster team, an unbelievable team, the best team in real estate.
I have to very quickly give our team a shout out.
I think you should.
We had set a goal for the first quarter of the year,
right?
Which we exceeded on the 7th of March. And as of the 7th of March, we had 41 homes under contract this year.
So awesome.
If you want to have your home sold, and you want to do it in a way where you're not stuck with an agent that you're unhappy with, then you want to take us up on our guaranteed cancellation clause. We want to take us up on what we call our easy exit listing, and you want to experience the 5-day blitz. 41 homes under contract this year.
So awesome, Dan.
We have something like 22 of our listings under contract with only four or five of them on the market. That's a great ratio.
It's unbelievable.
What we touch we're going to be able to systematically apply this process, and it's not about magic, and it's not about having some quick little slogan, what we touch turns to sold or gold, or none of that cheesy stuff, okay? It's about implementing a process, and it is awesome. But if you're ever unhappy, our contracts, some people ask us, how long are your listing contracts? Well, they're literally minute to minute.
Can we tell them what my son said to you on Sunday?
Man, well, it was cute.
It was cute. It was super cute. My son says the phone rings and it's Dan, and my son goes, you just talked to the most famous person I've ever met. He's in print, he's in radio, and he even has a car now, Dad, that with his name wrapped around. I hope I'm that famous.
Not my car, for the record. It's our client services vehicle. Which is just for servicing different things we need out there. Runner.
But he told
errands.
you wanted to be as famous as you are.
Very cool. Listen, if you have any questions, how do we have that many homes under contract in such a short period of time this year? How can you get your home predictably sold within 5 days of going on the market? Call 800-676-2420. 800-676-2420. Todd, Home Street Bank has been doing great work for our clients the whole, as long as you've been with them.
Since July 31st. You've
been doing a bang-up job. We have about 60 seconds left on air here. What are rates doing? What is the opportunity, and does somebody get in touch with you?
So listen, rates are going up, rates are going down. We're going to see a dip, I think, in the next couple of weeks. So I would say, time the market, and we'll help you do that. We'll make sure that you get the best rate. That's what we're there for.
So you mean there's a little fluctuation up and down, and you'll help them?
There's been a lot of fluctuation, and we'll time it properly. So I'm Todd Pianin from Home Street Bank, a member of the FDIC, equal housing lender, NMLS ID number 304014. Find us on Facebook. We have a podcast on iTunes. Review us. Tell us how great we're doing. We love you guys. We can't wait to see you next Sunday.
Google the Daniel Beer Group. That is beer spelled just like the drink. We'd be happy to help you. Have an awesome Sunday. God bless. And vote no on Trump.